Hello, Father Fred here again today. We're going to get into chapter 28. We just finished chapter 27. But before we do, I want to tell you about the season that the Jewish people are celebrating right now. It's called Hanukkah. And Hanukkah means dedication, the dedication of the temple or the establishing of the temple. Now, this was done by a fellow named Judas Maccabeus, and this was at 165 BCE, and this is a celebration that for the Jews that they celebrate for 8 days. 8 days because as they rebuilt the altar and started on the temple, they burned some candles in what they call a menorah. A menorah is a set of candles, and they were supposed to have enough oil in them to burn for one day. But they kept burning for 8 days. So because of this, the Jews celebrate Hanukkah for 8 days. Starts on actually it's the 25th. They call it the 26th because their day starts in the evening where ours starts in the morning. So we got Christmas in the morning of 25. The evening of 25, or the day 25, is when they start with the Hanukkah. And we're in that celebration right now. Now, I went walking in Walmart a few years back, and I met a man, and he said, Merry Christmas. And I said, Merry Christmas to you, thank you, and Happy Hanukkah. And he looked at me and he said, I am not trying to be politically correct. I said, well, you said Merry Christmas. I figure you're a Christian. He said, what's that got to do with Hanukkah? I said, well, Hanukkah is a celebration that Jesus would have, a feast he would have celebrated every year of his life after he was just a little child. It was something that he celebrated every year for the building back or the construction or the dedication of this temple in the year 165 BCE. So if you've ever wondered when people say Happy Hanukkah, or if you see it written down in Hanukkah and you don't know what it means the dedication of the temple. Now I want to tell you something else about Christmas. This year, Santa Claus almost called it off. He had too many fees to pay for parking. He had to park every place at every house that he went to. So he told the people, I'm thinking, that I'm going to maybe just not be able to bring toys to the children this year. Well, the people said, no, we will take care of that. So they told Santa, said, you come and you park, and if anybody asks you for fees for parking, you just tell them, they told me it's free. They said, just tell them that it's on the house. So Santa got to continue coming. Okay, now we just finished chapter 27, and it was all by an author from the South. It's from the South. When we read the word Lord, it's going to be from the South. So now we're going to go to chapter 28, but in chapter 27 we had some clues that Jacob was going to be something different when he was born, because remember his older brother named Esau, he came out first, and the one that comes out of the mother first is the one that is supposed to get the blessing from the father and the birthright. And something was going to happen, because when Esau came out, Jacob had him by the heel. He didn't just get the heel, he got everything else that Esau is going to have. We'll see that in this chapter. So first of all, he lost his birthright to some red stew. He came in famished, and he said, I just got to have something to eat. So he sold his birthright to Jacob. Jacob is the leader. He's the number one guy for God. But these writers did not make their heroes perfect. He is a deceitful little guy. He's got his birthright now. And then he robs him of his blessing. And then Esau gets mad, and he's going to kill Jacob just as soon as they finished with their mourning. And then Rebekah, Jacob's mama, says, Jacob, you head up there to Haran, to where my brother Laban is. Now you might remember Laban. Laban was a the brother of Rebekah, whenever Isaac came up looking for his wife. And Laban was pleased to have him as a brother-in-law because he saw the gold and the silver and all of the gifts that the servant had brought for Isaac. Well, now Esau is angry. He's going to kill him. So now we're going to go to chapter 28, and we have a different writer because several things. Now, Esau is mentioned, but there's no anger anymore. This writer doesn't put anger in his writings. And this is going to be what we call the priestly source in this story. So Jacob's going to Laban, but he's going for a different reason now. He was going to escape back there in chapter 27. He was going to escape to get away from Esau. He's got a different plan now. So let's see what this plan is, and let's see what's going on. So we're going to do chapter 28, but first of all, right in front of that, you're going to have 27. Let's look at the last 4 verses in chapter 27. Open your Bibles to chapter 27, and the last 4 verses we're going to read. Verse 42 says, "When Rebekah got news of what her older son Esau had in mind about going to kill his brother, she summoned her younger son Jacob and said to him, 'Listen, your brother Esau intends to get his revenge by killing you.'" That's a pretty tough revenge. "So now, my son, obey me." She's in control of everything. "Obey me. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran." Now, here, when we have the southern writer, he's going to go to Haran. He's going to go to a different place when we read the priestly source in chapter 28. Verse 44 says, "And stay with him a while until your brother's fury subsides." So hopefully he'll calm down after a while. "Until your brother's anger against you subsides and he forgets what you did to him." I doubt he's going to forget it. "Then I will send for you and bring you back. Why should I lose both of you in a single day?" Yeah, she's lost one. Esau, he's lost his birthright, and so he's going to marry people from Egypt and from the family that's not with the line of Abraham. "Until your brother's anger against you subsides and he forgets what you did to him. Then I will send for you and bring you back. Why should I lose both of you?" She's lost him. Now she doesn't want to lose Jacob, because if he stays around, his time might be limited on this earth. Now that's the way that one ended. He's going to Haran in the southern story. He's going to there because that's where Haran is used in the south. It's going to be a different city that Laban lives in when he goes in the priestly source. And that's what tells you that it is, one thing that tells you that it is the priestly source. So let's go on now to chapter 28, which is right close because we just finished 27. Verse 1 says, "Isaac therefore summoned Jacob and blessed him." Now he's already blessed him. This is another story. Remember, they started out like the same, but as they started out with one nation, and then they got troubles and they split, they still had the same story, but it developed differently in the south than it did from the north, than it did from the priests. And this is the priestly source. So we read again. "Isaac therefore summoned Jacob and blessed him." Now he's already blessed him once. And he's charging him, "You shall not marry a Canaanite woman." Now that's what when we looked back there at chapter 27, that's what it was about. She lost one son to marry the Canaanite women. Now she doesn't want to lose another one. I'm going to read that last part again. "You shall not marry a Canaanite woman." Now, in this one, Esau has calmed down. We're going to read about Esau, but he's got no anger in this one. This story doesn't have him all uptight because it's not about him losing his birthright and his blessing. Verse 2, "Go now to Padam Aram." When we read Padam Aram, that is that's the city that's used a lot by the priestly source. So that's why scholars say that it's the priestly source. Go now to Padam Aram, not Haran like in chapter 27, to the house of your mother's father Bethuel, and there choose a wife for yourself from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. So he's going to marry his cousin to keep this in the royal family. Verse 3. May God Almighty bless you and make you fertile. Now he's already blessed him with that fertility back in the other chapter. And multiply you, that you may become an assembly of peoples. And then he gives him his blessing. May God extend to you and your descendants the blessing of Abraham, so that you may gain possession of the land where are you residing, which he assigned to Abraham. And this is the continuation of the younger brother or the younger sister getting the birthright when it's supposed to be for somebody else. And we're going to find that over and over. It's a theme that runs through this Bible. Verse 5. Then Isaac sent Jacob on his way. He went to Padam Aram, to Laban, son of Bethuel, the Aramean, the brother of Rebekah, and the mother of Jacob and Esau. Verse 6. Now we got Esau coming in. Esau noted that Isaac had blessed Jacob when he sent him to Padam Aram to get himself a wife there, and that as he gave him his blessing, he charged him, you shall not marry a Canaanite woman. Now, so he's got no plans to kill anybody now. He's just now thinking, Daddy told him not to marry a Canaanite woman. So what do you think Esau's going to do? You got it. He's going to marry a Canaanite woman. Verse 7 says, and that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother and gone to Padam Aram. Here's what Esau does now. Esau realized how displeasing the Canaanite women were to his father Isaac, so Esau went to Ishmael. Remember, Ishmael is the brother of Isaac. And in addition, and Esau went to Ishmael, and in addition to the wives, he had married Mahalath, the daughter of Abraham's son Ishmael, and the sister of Nebaioth. So he has deliberately gone to marry a Canaanite woman, or somebody that's not of his line anyway. And that's the end of that part about Esau. That's all Esau's going to have now for a while. It's going to be all on Jacob. He's the main character. Jacob is going to have a dream. Now, when you read about dreams, you're going to be using the northern source. It's going to be God for the supreme being. In the south, it's Lord. Verse 10. Jacob departed from Beersheba. Now that's in the very south, and he's going up to the north, and proceeded toward Haran. If you remember, Haran is way up north. That's the way Abraham went from Ur to Haran and then down into Israel and then Egypt. He had to go that way because he couldn't come straight east, because there were tribes there that were uncivilized, that were going to kill him. We'll read that again. Verse 10. Jacob departed from Beersheba and proceeded to Haran. See, now this is back to Haran. This is referring. This part right here is going to be going from the south to the north, from the south to the north. And when they're going to Haran, that's going to be from the south, or the priest, either one. Verse 11. When he came upon a certain place. Now, when we read about a certain place, it's going to be a holy place. That's what this is. This is not just any place. This is a certain place. He stopped there for the night, since the sun had already set. Taking one of the stones at the place, he put it under his head and lay down in that place. Now, doesn't sound like a real good pillow, a rock. And here's what tells you where the E source comes in. It's going back and forth. Then he had a dream. If you have dreams, if you read about dreams, you're going to be having the E source from the north. He had a dream. A stairway rested on the ground with its top reaching into the heavens, and God's angels were up and down on it. And God is also the supreme being for the priest and for the e-source. For the Israelites, they believed there were special places where man and God connected. And that's like this one here, a stairway that's going up to heaven. Verse 13. And there was the Lord. Now, when you see the Lord, you're back to the J source. It's just going, this writer, this redactor or the editor is taking one part and putting it where he needs it, where he wants it. And there was the Lord standing beside him and saying, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. On the land which you are lying, I will give to you and your descendants. That's the same thing that he promised to Abraham. That's the same thing that he promised to Isaac. And that's the same thing that he promises to Jacob. And that's just the sons coming right down the line. Abraham's son was Isaac. Isaac's son was Jacob. Verse 14. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and through them you will spread to the west and the east. That means you're going everything east and west. And to the north and the south. That means you're going to cover the whole world. You're going to go everything to the east and the west, everything to the north, to the south. That's the way they have of saying to cover the whole world. In you and your descendants, all of the families of the earth will find a blessing. I am with you and will protect you wherever you go and bring you back to this land. I will never leave you until I have done what I promised. Verse 16. When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he said, truly the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. This is a special place. And he says, when he woke from his sleep, he said, truly, this is the place. When you read the place, it's something that is a place that is blessed by God. Verse 17. He was afraid and said, how awesome this place is. This is nothing else but the house of God, the gateway to heaven. This is they believed that there were certain places that you could go from earth to heaven, and God could come down from heaven to earth. Verse 18. Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head, set it up as a sacred pillar, and poured oil on the top of it. And this is going to have a special name, this place. He named that place Bethel. Bethel is one of the major holy places in the north, just a few miles from Jerusalem, because Jerusalem's right on the border with the north. And Bethel means the house of God. So he's naming this place the house of God. Whereas the former name of the town had been Luz. So he's got a name for it, but he changes the name because he sees that this is where God exists. Verse 20. Jacob then made this vow. If God will be with me and protect me on this journey I am making, and give me food to eat and clothes to wear, and I come back safely to my father's house, the Lord will be my God. This stone that I have set up as a sacred pillar will be the house of God. Of everything you give me, I will return a 10th part to you without fail. Now, we've had some younger brothers that, for one way or another, they wind up with the blessing. The older ones that should get the blessing don't. I think maybe it's telling us that God is not interested in how important we think we are by our birthrights. God has a plan for the least of us. But we got the younger brothers. We had Isaac over Ishmael. We have Jacob over Esau. Jacob is going to marry a girl, Rachel, and her sister Leah, and Leah is older, but Rachel is the one that's going to get the blessing. And then his favorite son is Joseph. He's not the firstborn, but he has preference over the older brothers. And then last of all, back at the very end of the chapter, we're going to have that Ephraim gets the blessing over his older brother Manasseh. But this is a theme that is running through the Bible. This has been interesting, I think, to see how two different writers, one writer got Jacob to go up there to see Laban in Haran. He was going there because he was scared. That was 27. In chapter 28, he goes not to Haran, he goes to Padam Haram, and he goes to see Laban in both places. And he goes not because he's frightened. He goes because he's looking for a wife, and he finds one. He's going to get one pretty soon. And Esau has completely calmed down. He was going to kill him, but now all he does is just, well, Jacob pleased Daddy by marrying somebody in this clan, and so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to displease him. So Esau is moving farther and farther away. And he finally he gets his 12 tribes that we're going to have, just like Jacob gets 12 tribes, but it's not going to be in Israel. Hope you enjoyed this, and hope you had a Merry Christmas. And tonight we start football, and tomorrow pray for Notre Dame to beat Georgia. And may your prayers be answered. God bless.